Welcome to this training video. In this training video I will demonstrate an application, web-based application or website, whatever you say, developed in AngularJS, Angular.js. I will actually demonstrate the application and also demonstrate the code behind it, and also we'll try to discuss the different concepts of Angular.js. This is just an overview type of training. Then in future I will be discussing the concepts in Angular in details and probably take you through the application step by step, just how to write this application from scratch and go step by step. And in this training video I will be just demonstrating the overall application, how they fit into together. So what is this application? So the application will look like this. So this is the application built on Angular. So this is an application that is displaying the different mobile devices as offered by Google. So this is a list, and you can see on the left side there are search functionality and sorting functionality, and by default it is sorting by the release and showing the newest to oldest, and you can sort by alphabetical, and you can also search. So how many functions are there? So initially there is a list of the mobile devices offered by Google, and a little bit details and the pictures, and there is a search functionality here, and when you search there is sort of animation that you can see, and initially the sorting is by release date and the newest one comes to the top. So this functionality is there, and alphabetical sorting functionality is there. Okay, and if you click on this, there is a product detail page. You can see is product name and some description, and on the left side there is a big image, and there are some thumbnail images are here, and there are some product features, and there are some category and the corresponding attributes, those are coming here. So if you click this left side image, that gets replaced with the thumbnail image, and you can see there is a little bit of animation there. It's not that if you're just clicking and the image is just getting replaced statically. It's not like this, it's just going up and coming from the down. There is some animation there. Okay, and one more thing, very simple stuff, and you can see that we are displaying cross and tick. It is actually based on true or false. If there is false, there is a cross. If there is true, it is coming. Check. I'm telling this because I have to implement it in the code. Okay, so this is the application that I will demonstrate. I will demonstrate the code. This is the Angular PhoneCat app, and this index.html, that's where it starts from. So app index.html, yeah, I put index.html, but it is coming that's a controller thing that you already know. It is assumed that you understand model view controller programming paradigm or software engineering paradigm. Anyway, I will go there, and before that, if you are completely new to Angular, I can just give a little bit of overview on it, what it is. So you can see it here, the AngularJS.org. So it is maintained by Google, you can see. So Google must be promoting it. So you can just read them, and there are some simple applications they have demonstrated here. One is this and one is this. I think I have another training video that actually demonstrates some simple concepts and also explains these two simple examples. You can also definitely take a look into that. And another thing is you can also search it in check it in Wikipedia. So what AngularJS is, it's an open source JavaScript framework and it is maintained by Google, and it also is about single page application. And single page application, this can be great for mobile. I think all the data, presentation, everything is loaded at one time, and you put the data in files as a JSON format. You don't need to hit the backend database, so it performs well. Just sort of caching concept. It also uses a model view controller architecture. Yep. And it makes development and testing easier, and there is some separation between the presentation and backend, so it makes the development easier. And Angular also introduces some new tags in addition to the HTML tags or HTML5 tags. So whenever you link to the Angular library, you have access to these new tags. That makes the implementation easier. And another thing that you can see, that you can bind the HTML inputs to some JavaScript variables. These JavaScript variables, you can manually set them, or you can only get those values from the JSON. I think you can see that how the different inputs of HTML are being bounded to different models in Angular, and how they are being updated dynamically. I think there is the concept of two-way binding. Okay, I think the philosophy of Angular, I think it uses some declarative programming and the imperative programming, both of them. And declarative programming, it makes the user interface and the wiring different software components easier. Angular also is motivated by that. And imperative programming, I think the step-by-step and logical things, just to implement the business logic, the imperative programming, that is another concept. So Angular also adapts and extends two-way binding and synchronization of models and views. I think what happens is in Angular, I think the user inputs and front end is bounded to some backend models. So whenever the view gets changes, the model gets affected, and when the model gets changed, the view will be affected. Okay, I think I will demonstrate just simple, or if you can watch the other training video, it will make sense. So there are some design goals that you can see. I think in Angular, I think if you write the application in jQuery or JavaScript, what you have to do, you have to manipulate the DOM. You have to find out the DOM element, and then whether you want to change it, take some value from it, or write some value from it to it. You have to manipulate the DOM. But in Angular, you don't have to do that much of manipulation. What happens is, as you will be binding those different HTML elements or to some sort of models, so this mapping will do many of the tasks, dynamically updating. You don't have to find out the DOM element and manipulate it. You don't have to do that much. So okay, I'm not going through everything here. So here is one of the concepts that you need to understand, the bootstrapping in Angular. what happens is when your HTML DOM elements, when your web page will be loading, there will be some other steps going on. When it is linked to the Angular library, it will be creating some sort of injector that will inject a different stuff or facilitate injecting into different parts of your web page. So this is being called compiling, another step. So what happens is it will scan through your web page and find out different Angular related directive, and it will link this directive to the models of Angular. What happens is, I think you can mark many different HTML elements telling that okay, this is the Angular directive and this is the another Angular directive, this is another Angular directive. You also specify what type of Angular directive it is and to which model it links to, if it is an application level directive or if it is just an input that maps to a model. So you can see these are the directives that you can use for different HTML elements, and compiling it does that. And I think there is one step, linking phase, for all those directives you mentioned, all those HTML elements and all the DOM element or model element that you specify that this HTML relates to this model. So you define some sort of scope between these models and the directives, so that they can work together. I think these scopes and those things are handled through the controller to some extent. Okay, I think the markup Angular directive that you can use ng app, so it tells that it's an Angular application. Ng bind, it just marks one HTML control to be ng bind. I think what happens is if you bind an element and give some expression, so the content of that HTML element will be dynamically changed based on the expression. Ng model, you define an model for an HTML element just for say text, and you assign a model. So if the model value gets changed, the value of that input element will get changed. And if you can also make it two-way binding. And controller, you can specify a section of the view which controller that will be manipulated by. So within that block you can just directly call the different methods of that controller. You don't need to specify the controller name in each of the individual element where you are calling the controller methods. You can apply this in the div element, and within the div element you can just directly call the individual controller methods. Ng repeat, if you just want to repeat some information from a JSON library or JSON storage, and you can use the UL or li block, you can use this there. And switch, you know from your traditional programming concept, it's just conditional stuff. Ng view, you define the view, I think in the MVC. Using this ng view, you define okay, this is the view portion, and probably using some controller logic and some, you can dynamically change the content of this view part. Ng if, again it's such a conditional thing. Two-way data binding, that you need to understand that how the view and model, how they bind together two-way. So model change, view gets updated, view change. I think it's what is being here, I think two-way binding. So I think two-way binding was used here when you're changing the interface. Based on the binding thing, it gets updated. Another thing, initially we have assigned in the controller that this the model uses the age property by default. I think that's the model thing. So by default it comes as a sorted by age. Okay, this is about Angular. I will be going to the code demonstration, But another thing is we have a training video here, I think, that demonstrate the basic examples as I told here. So okay, from here you will be getting some concepts like the two-way binding thing or simple controller thing that you will get you can get that concept from here. Anyway, I will close it. So I'm coming here. And if you are from Bangladesh, I think on the YouTube channel that has a Bengali version of this training video, I think it will not be up to this moment. Whatever I told, you will not find these details there, but the next whatever I will tell, there will be a that will be there, but in Bengali language. Okay, come to the code now. So this is the folders that looks like. So I'm using Git and NetBeans anyway. So this is the main application folder. This is for configuration. This is for logs. This is for test unit code. Anyway, I'm going there. So this is coming from index.html. So you can see the HTML5 doc type is here. Let's see, ng app. It is just telling this is an Angular application. So let's say it can be like this or it can be like this. Here we are just telling it is an Angular application, but we are not providing the module, starting module point. Here we are telling that PhoneCat app, that's a module that is being used for this Angular application. So let's say I can see the folder structure a little bit here. This is the CSS files that I will be using. So animation.css, it's about, I think, CSS3 animations. When I demonstrate you the application, you can see there is sort of animation there, and there is up and down animation. It is just not replacement. I think some of these are being done through this CSS3 animation CSS here, and it also uses some sort of Angular directive just to define when that animation will be. I'll be coming to this point. So there are CSS. I think it is for the responsive, so that it also looks good in mobile devices. So these are the image. Actually, all the phone images are here. And JavaScript, you can see the controller.js. It is the where we keep the controllers. These are the custom filters services. It just makes the dynamic changing of the code easier. Here just a little bit of animation related JavaScript code. We'll come back here. Partials, and these are actually the views. So we have two different views here. One is the basic view here. the primary view. In this view there are two sections, left and right, and this is the detailed view for the fonts. So there are two partials, two views. This is the fonts. I think we are not using any database to grab the font details. Actually we are storing all the font details in JSON format, and in the detailed view actually all this information are coming from here. So there are another JSON. Okay, from this individual detail JSON string, it is being used in the detail font view. Okay, now come step by step. So this is the index, and you can see there is another index, asynchronous. Asynchronous, you definitely will be familiar with this term if you are coming from a computer science background. It is being used in many different cases, right? So in asynchronous, what happens is we do not wait for the JavaScript code to be loaded before the page content are loaded. I think here the page content are loaded first and the JavaScript libraries are loaded asynchronously and in the background, so you don't have to wait. Anyway, this index, so here we are linking to the style files, here we are linking to the, there are two stuff, I think jQuery library and the Angular library. Angular makes use of jQuery, so in the library we have it here, and all the Angular library related files are here, and all the jQuery library files are here. So here we are just linking to the Angular library and jQuery library. Instead we could also, what we could do, let's see, we are not here we don't see all the library files here. We are just linking to the Google repository for that library files. You can take this approach or you can take this approach. So the good thing about downloading and using its own version, I think if something is changed on the original library and if your code does not adjust to that, your application may break. So you can just download, keep it and link it to it the way we did it here. Okay, so what we can do, this is the main Angular library, this is the animation related Angular library. So how does it help? You can see in the animate CSS we can use directives, animation related directives, and so it is just Angular animation related Angular library. And Angular root, it is just helping in the controller and routing. You know that MVC framework, what it happens is it just do not link or go to the directly to the statically linking. Those doesn't work here. So whenever a request is there, it goes through the controller, and if controller thinks okay, they need to do some sort of business logic implementation or based on the situation, it needs to be redirected to different views. So that logic is there, this controlling and routing, and then we go to the destination page. And this Angular route.js, it helps with the routing thing. And this actually routing, this is actually defined here. You can see the routing here. If the URL contains fonts, it's actually uses this controller and goes to this view. And if the URL contains fonts/phone ID, then it uses another controller and goes to this view. And if in the URL we don't have the phones, or you don't have fonts/ID, if you have anything else, so it will be going to the fonts. Let's see. Okay, I think it probably the htaccess file that is interfering here. Okay, probably this is what is being treated as the otherwise. This is being treated the first one, fonts. And let's see, if I give it 8, what does it do? Okay, it goes to the font detail with the 8. So coming to the index page, so app.js, we know that this is the where we keep the main application module. Let's say this is the module that is being defined, and if we come to here, you can see that we have some PhoneCat app. This is the name of the main module, and you can see that there are some other modules that are linked to the main module. Let's see, PhoneCat controllers, PhoneCat filters, PhoneCat services, PhoneCat animations. Actually, let's see, this PhoneCat animations, and this module is defined in this file, PhoneCat controllers, and this module is defined in controllers.js file, and PhoneCat filters. Okay, I have to see filters. This is a filters.js. This module is being implemented here, and PhoneCat services, this module is being implemented here. And this is the main application module, and it contains all those modules. And this ng-root is here. So anyway, we are linking all these files here, and we know that in each of these files there are some modules defined, and those modules become the part of this application. And this is the ng view directive, and this is the dynamic view. We saw it here. Ng view. So what happens is, dynamically this will get changed with the help of the controller. So from here we know how controller is redirecting to which page based on the what is in the URL. So what do I need to show you, right? Let's see, is there any other directive that I missed? Okay, let me show you the little bit of the controller thing. Let's say this is the controller variable, Angular.module. You know, this has to be right like this. So it is defining PhoneCat controllers, and you can see PhoneCat controllers. This is a module, and on this module we are defining two controller, phone list controller and phone detail controller. Okay, if you would be using frameworks like Laravel or Cake.php, so you know that you'll be having these controller files under the controllers folder on the framework. So what happens is, phone list controller, it is actually getting all the phones here, And the scope, you know that initially we define the map the scope in the compiling stage. The scopes are defined, I think, based on the directives we use on the front end or on the views. This mapping is done. So it will retrieve all the phones where it links to in the front end within the same scope. And phone.query, it is actually using the services here and returning all the phone list. Actually we could write this code without the service. Okay, we could just write direct JSON query to get all the phone list here. I think when I will be showing the step-by-step application, probably I can show that there. Okay. And phone detail controller, what it is doing, it will be grabbing the individual phone details and okay, let's say here we are doing one more thing. We are defining the order prop property to edge property of the JSON. What it does mean is, let's say initially order prop is set to edge, and this order prop is being used as a model for the sorting functionality. So based on the edge, it will initially get sorted. I think probably I can show you the view part, otherwise this may not make much sense. Phone list. So this is the initial view. I think you can see that index.html, this dynamic view, this phone list, I think based on the controller, this here partials phone list, if we have /phones, so it comes there. So phone list, what it is doing is we can map this to the front end view. So there are two parts. The left part and the right part. So there are two deep. So this is the left, this is the right part, and we are using some for fluidity responsive so that they will render appropriate in the mobile devices. Okay. So on the left side you can see search, and there is an input box. Sort by, there is a drop down, and search input box, and we are mapping this input box to a model query. And that is in controller, this query model. This query will be bringing all the phone list and it will send it to the front end. This is the model about. And sort by, you can see the model, it refers to order prop. Okay, so this order prop model, it is set to edge. So based on the edge property of the phone devices, and this sorting does work. So you can see this sorting is based on this model. So there is a reflection two-way binding, but on the initially when it gets loaded, it's based on the edge, and based on the edge ascending, and the I think it gets from newest to oldest. But when we will be changing this based on the two-way binding, the order prop gets set to the alphabetical property of the phone devices list as JSONs, and then it updates there. So probably you need to check the JSON and edge property. So you can see the edge alphabetical actually works on the name. So we are here. Okay. Let's see. So this is the left part. What happens on the right part? So right part, what is the, let's see. We are showing the list of the phone devices. So you can see we have used ng repeat. So this will be repeated. It will be taking all the phones. These phones, it will be under its own scope, and the phones are defined in the controller. So these phones, it is using this phone service and retrieving all the phones. So this phones is there. So what it is happening, all the phones, each of them are treated as phone variable. Using this phone variable, we are displaying image URL here, we are displaying phone ID here, and we are displaying phone name here, and we are displaying phone snippet there. All these are coming from the JSON. Snippet, name, image URL, phone list. Okay, so this will be repeating. So we have applied the Angular based filters here. You can see filter query, order by, order prop. So this list will be, this list, I think some sort of filtering will affect this list. Just query filter and order prop filter. Query filter, you know that's this query filter. Order prop, you know that initial order prop is working on this here. So based on the whatever is set on this order prop or whatever is set on this filter query, this list will be get updated. If there is nothing on this filter or on this filter, what happens is all the list of the phones will be displayed. So how it is working? So you can see ng repeat. So this block will be repeated for all of the phones, and these phones, I think when the scope is there, the corresponding controller is there, we can say phones variable is there. It is grabbing all the phones. Okay, and initially the query will be empty, but order prop initially it will be set to the edge. So based on this edge, all the phones will be, phone devices will be sorted. And this CSS is affecting how it will look. So for each of the phones, the image URL will be displayed, the name will be displayed, the snippet will be displayed, phone ID will come here. So you know how it is working now. And when you give something here, so what happens is this query filter gets some value, and this list is being updated based on that query. And order prop, when you change it here to there, so this order prop gets changed and this list gets updated like that. So it makes your task very easy. If you would be writing all this code using jQuery or using PHP, it would be taking some good amount of time. So this view is there, and from here we know it goes to the phone detail. Probably you can also check what is in phone detail. So I think, let's see, these controllers, this is the phone detail controller. Under this scope there is a phone variable, phone model, whatever you say. Okay, so this is actually the large image on the left side. That is there, and just main, whatever is said to be the main active image, that will come there. We are displaying the phone name. Phone is the model in the backend and corresponding name, and we can see in the detail view we will be getting just only one phone. This phone.get, it will be based on the phone ID. It will be just bringing one device. So this phone detail, that is the phone model. We are displaying the description here, and this is all the thumbnail images that is being repeated. You can see that we are using the ng repeat, so this will get repeated. And phone model, all the images, for each of the images this will be displayed. So this is rendering this part. And let's say there are some availability section and battery section, storage and memory section. Availability section, battery, storage and this section. What we are doing, the phone model, battery type, phone model, battery talk time, phone, battery standby time, all those are being displayed there. So you can see and this is the one, it will be coming from the individual phone JSON. So this is what the detail of work on. The battery information is coming from there, availability is coming from here. So this is how it is working. So you can see different stuff here, and this is the one another thing that I need to show you. Let's see, we are using this filter here, checkmark filter. That is our custom filter. Where it is coming from, you can see in the filters you have defined this, that is coming from there, and this cross and check is coming from there. So that probably is it. Okay, I think I can show you the animation CSS. Yeah, you can see all the elements that has this in the CSS class property, and this ng enter, ng leave, ng move, it is just telling when this animation effect will be there, entering time, leaving time, moving time, all these are there. App CSS, yeah, this is the CSS responsive, you know, for the mobile devices, how it will get rendered. All the image files are there, all the phone files are there. Okay, phone cat animations, this is linked here. So I have displayed. Okay, I think this one, when it is being called, I think in the detail page, whenever we are clicking, that is being getting called, and the current image is being set there. I think in the detail function we will have call to that function. Okay, and there will be some click functionality there. Okay, when you are clicking this thing, all the thumbnail image, if we click on them, so set image is being called under this scope, the corresponding function set image, and current image is being set as the thumbnail image. So custom filter, we know how we are using it. Services, we know. Library, we showed. partials we've explained. Fonts, yeah, it is being used in the individual stuff. This karma, I think you can use it in when you're using Node.js and those things. Test script. Okay, I'm not going there. So one thing, we can see that here we are storing all the font details as JSON. But if it were a very big application where writing the JSON string can be tedious, probably there will be a backend CMS section with the different data entry forms where all the different data will be entered, and probably there can be some other script that will convert all those font details as JSON string and put into the file. Okay, I think that's about it. Next time I will be demonstrating this as a step by step, and we'll write it from scratch. Anyway, in the meantime, have a good time and happy holidays. Thanks. Bye.